Hare Krishna. Welcome to our monthly Bhagavad Gita sessions where we discuss one chapter of the Gita. Today we'll be studying the 7th chapter of the Gita and its application in our daily life. So this chapter is very interesting because this is start of a new theme. There are 3 main themes in the Gita: Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga and Jnana Yoga. So there are how many chapters in the Bhagavad Gita? 18 chapters. So the first 6 chapters focus on duty. If you see, those who have come for the previous, how many of you are coming for the first time for these glad sessions? 1, 2, online, okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Thank you. So you will get all the previous lectures on the first 6 chapters on YouTube. You'll send the link to everyone. There's a whole playlist. There are 12 classes, I think. So you can, the essence of those 6 chapters is duty. Arjuna wanted to run away from the battlefield and Krishna keeps arguing that you can't escape your duty. Karma Yoga. That's the whole discussion in the first 6 chapters. But towards the end of the 6 chapters, as the chapter comes to an end, Krishna says, because there is an explanation on dhyana also in that. So then Krishna says, the best yogi is he who meditates on me, remembers me. It's all about Krishna is guiding him to meditate on him. So at the end of the 6th chapter, a question may arise in your mind. How do I meditate on Krishna? How do I do that? The answer to that question is the 7th chapter. You get it? So it's like it's a gradual continuation. It's like continuing the same theme. But 7 to 12 is the cream of the Bhagavad Gita. The 18 chapters are divided into 3 parts. First 6 is duty or Karma Yoga. 7 to 12 is love. It's bhakti. And 13 to 18 is jnana or knowledge. So you need all 3 for spiritual perfection. Duty, love and knowledge. Duty is hands, love is heart, knowledge is head. You need all 3 in a relationship also. You need to serve the other person, you need to know the other person, you need to also love the person. So I always say this, that Bhagavad Gita is like a burger. The top bread is the first 6 chapters. The 13 to 18 is the bottom bread. And the main masala, 7 to 12, the vada pav. The vada is the 7 to 12. The cream, the essence of the Gita is in these 6 chapters. And you will soon discover why. Because there is a lot of emphasis on an emotional connection with the Lord. It's not simply dry philosophy. So therefore, 7 to 12 is very, very important. And if you have joined in late for our glad sessions, it's perfectly okay because the first 6 chapters, you will always get them on YouTube. But 7 to 12 is where a lot of churning will happen. Okay, so everybody is clear about the flow. First 1 to 6 is duty or Karma Yoga. 7 to 12, Bhakti Yoga or love. And 13 to 18 is Jnana Yoga or knowledge. So in a very, to give a very crude example. So there's a boy and a girl. They work in an office environment. So they start working on the project together. And as they're working together, they start knowing each other. And then they also fall in love. So Karma Yoga refers to working together in this example. Knowing each other is the Jnana part. And the development of evolved emotions and bonding is Bhakti here. So all 3 are important. But love is the most important. Nobody would argue on that. If there is no love in a relationship, then it can't be sustained. At the same time, love is not abstract. It's a verb. There has to be service. So therefore, all Bhagavad Gita is a complete package. So now let's dive into 7 to 12. If you see, the chapter is called Knowledge of the Absolute, because in the 6th chapter, Krishna concluded by saying, the best yogi is he who meditates on me. Yoginam api sarvesham madgatenantaratmana Shraddhavan bhajate yo mam same yukta tamo mata. Krishna said, the best yogi is he who meditates on me, worships me. So then Arjuna may ask, well, then how do I meditate on you? Teach me. 7th chapter is an exposition on how we can begin to meditate on Krishna. And Krishna says, the first step is to know about him. That's knowledge of the Absolute. So the 7th chapter, so we will do something like this. We'll chant a few verses. This is the trend we follow in all the chapters. I chant a few verses, you repeat after me, and then one of you reads the translations. But before we do that, I'll give a summary of this entire 7th chapter, so that when you go back home, you meet your friends, they ask you, what did you do on a Sunday evening? And you tell them, I went for a Bhagavad Gita class. And they may wonder, why did you go there? What did you learn? So whatever we are doing in 1 hour, I will share an acronym which you can always go back and share with your friends. The 7th chapter can be remembered with the acronym HEAD, H-E-A-D, because it's knowledge of the Absolute, so the head has to be strong, so it's easy to remember. Head. So the first 3 verses of this chapter is the H of the head, where Krishna focuses on the most important part of love. In any loving relationship, you need to listen to your partner. So the first H of head stands for hear. Krishna says, hear Arjuna, suno. You can't say, I love God, I keep praying all the time, I keep speaking. Prayer is like talking to the Lord, but prayer also involves being present and listening. So what you're doing right now is you are hearing. This is an integral part of Bhakti Yoga. Hearing is an integral part of Bhakti Yoga. So Krishna begins this chapter by saying, focus on me and hear about me, and what I'm going to tell you is the best knowledge you've ever heard. So like that. So after emphasizing on this knowledge, then Krishna speaks from text number 4 onwards till 14. E, H-E-A-D, E stands for how we can see God everywhere. This is very important for us. You know, sometimes if you see in many religious traditions, there is dogmatism. There is they restrict God to a certain form or a certain place or a certain book, and then they become fanatics. But here, Krishna would teach you how to see Him everywhere in our day-to-day life. That's why this chapter is very practical. Everywhere. And then, although we need to see God everywhere, we also need to see Him in His personal identity as a person who is a lovable person. Both are important. It's not that you only see God everywhere and forget Him as a person. And on the other hand, it's not that you only see Him as a person and fail to see Him everywhere. So then, text number 15 to 20 is the third part, A, which stands for who are the kind of people who accept and reject God.
Atheists.
Accept. No, not atheist. Accept and reject. Some people accept God, some people reject God. So that Krishna will explain in the third part of this chapter, text number 15 to 20. So he'll explain who are the kind of people who accept Krishna, who are the kind of people who reject God. All that analysis Krishna offers. So there in that section you will see, because I'm not sure that we'll reach there. So I'll just tell you what that contains. You know, Krishna speaks about 4 kinds of people who just are not interested in God. He says, Namam dushkritino mudha prapadyante naradama. He says, Maya paharta jnana asuram bhavamashrita. He says, 4 kinds of people don't come to me. Mudha, foolish. So Mudha refers to somebody who is very hardworking, but foolishly hardworking, like a donkey, the proverbial carrot in front of the donkey, chasing a chimera, not actually getting something tangible, but having some romantic idea about success, but just working hard like a donkey. So that's called Mudha. So these kind of people have no time for Krishna. That's one kind of people who don't come to Krishna. The second Krishna says is Naradhama, which means the lowest of people who are extremely ruthless in achieving their goals. And they also are willing to betray their own values. They are go-getters. They are more than hard workers. They are like worse than hard workers. They are just people who are Naradhama, lowest of mankind. They're unscrupulous, basically. Then Maya Partha Jnana is the third category of people who will refuse to come to God. They are the people who are speculators. They keep speculating. You see in internet nowadays, I get a lot of these forwards. People think I am into Bhagavad Gita, so I'll be interested in spirituality. So now I know all the spiritual gurus in India and what are their main teachings. So I see most of them, they speak cleverly, but it's all speculation. It's what I feel, what I realize. That's called Maya Apaharta Jnana. That means our intelligence, we are riding the chariot of the mind. We are not accessing higher intelligence. We are accessing our own mind and intelligence, which can get perverted. See, intelligence is stronger than mind. Intelligence is supposed to help us. But unfortunately for many of us, intelligence becomes a lawyer for the mind. Intelligence simply becomes a servant of the mind. So if you are already predetermined about something, you have a prejudice over something, then intelligence will give you good arguments in support or against what you believe in. So therefore Krishna says, he is not very impressed by intelligent people. We have to access higher intelligence. So Maya Apartha Jnana is the third kind of people who will see. So I've seen many of these videos of famous spiritual gurus in India. They'll dismiss scriptures, they'll never quote scriptural verses from the Gita. And I find it amusing because studying Gita, it's like, we become like lawyers. Like we know which verses say what. It's not that we are fanatics. It's just that understanding helps us access higher wisdom. Because that higher wisdom is within. It's not that we're accessing something foreign. As we open up our hearts to access the wisdom of the Gita, then you will see there is some connection. And you get those aha moments, epiphany. Oh yeah, this is right. This makes sense. Therefore, with that open-mindedness, when we hear, we come closer to the Lord. And when we shut our hearts, then we come in the category of Maya Apartha Jnana, who don't come to God. So that's the third category. And the fourth, Krishna says, is Asuram Bhavam. Asuram means openly atheistic. Like Richard Dawkins, for example, The Selfish Gene, very famous book. Openly atheistic. I don't believe in God. I don't care. There is no God. So Krishna says, these four people are not interested in me. So very clear. And then Krishna explains in the same section, there are four kinds of people who are very much interested in me. Who are they? And I'm sure you can relate to this because you come for this class. You can relate to one of these four categories. He says, Chaturvida bhajante mam jana sukritin arjuna arto jigyasur artharti jnani cha bharatarshava. Oh, greatest of the Bharatas, Arjuna, there are four kinds of people who come to me. Artho is not money. Artha is sadness, dukkha. मैं बहुत दुखी हूँ. Like sometimes people come to us. आप हरे कृष्ण में कैसे आ गए? आपको कोई गर्लफ्रेंड ने छोड़ दिया क्या? दिल टूट गया आपका. दिल टूट गया तो आप आ गए. So people think those who are distressed, they come to God. Artha. Second category is Jigyasu, curiosity. ये हरे कृष्ण में होता क्या है? ये दम्मारोदम है? क्या है? That Devanand's movie. So there are a lot of curiosity-driven people who come to Hare Krishna. Let me check out. क्या होता क्या है? What is all this Sunday festivals and who are these guys, Americans and Africans dancing? तो वो एक curiosity mindset भी रहता है. Like one of our, I want to tell you, this is a true story. In our temple, Radha Gopinath temple, we earlier had Bhola's classes, commerce classes. So these children would go up. So one of the boys, and they would talk amongst their friends. These guys, the kitchen where we cook prasad every day for so many people. So these two boys, friends, they would go to the Bola's class and they would look at the kitchen and they would discuss among themselves. So, these guys, this is where they make drugs. This is the main center from where they start supplying all that. And they would have their own theories about how we are into drugs and all of that. And that boy, one of those boys, is today a very powerful preacher and brahmachari in our temple. Prem Nidhi Das. Prem Nidhi Prabhu, the author of Journey of Self. So he's got a taste of that drug. So he would say that they would be curious as young boys. Chalo jaake dekhte hain, let's explore this place. So aisa hota hai. Curiosity rehta hai. So they are the kind of people who come to Krishna. Artha, Jigyasu and Artharthi. Artharthi means ऐसा नेटवर्किंग. चलो यार यहाँ पे अच्छा करियर अपॉर्चुनिटीज है, यहाँ पे शायद वी कैन नेटवर्क, और यहाँ पे इनको ये जरूरत पड़ेगा. तो बेसिकली दे लुक फॉर गुड अपॉर्चुनिटीज करियर में अलग अलग. आई रिमेंबर व्हेन आई वाज वेरी न्यू एंड आई वाज स्टडीइंग, आई वाज माय फाइनल सेमेस्टर इन कॉलेज. सो द preachers are they are always, see, our preaching style is different. Ancient times spiritual organizations would be in their own world. Like if you go to Rishikesh, Badrinath, Vrindavan, Ayodhya, you will find all these small monasteries where sadhus are sitting and doing their bhajan. Their philosophy was catch interested people. If somebody is interested, they would go there, and then these sadhus would give them some gyan, entertain them, take care of them. Catch interested people. But ISKCON follows a different paradigm. We try to create interest in people. So we give fancy analogies. Sometimes I used to say shairi. Now I stopped shairi business. I think every class, I remember glad I would speak so, because then I got into all that. People would come and tell me class के बाद, प्रभु जी वो शायरी वापस बोलो, record करना है. So then I said, अरे यार गीता, भगवत गीता का essence भूल गया आप. So we do all of that. It's a gimmick. It's just like a hook, somehow to create interest in people. Srila Prabhupada would do that. He would give analogies, examples from the Vietnam War, from the contemporary times. Like, in 1960s, Superman was very famous. So to explain the Lord in the heart, all the bhakti traditions till then would speak about the Lord in the heart as overseer or God or supreme God, like that, or universe, consciousness, supreme consciousness. But Srila Prabhupada saw that, these guys are into Superman and there is Atma, soul. So let me call God as super soul. So he coined this term, super soul, after Superman. So this is the way you try to create interest in people. Consciousness was a very popular word in the 1960s in America. Consciousness expansion. Altering the state of consciousness. So Srila Prabhupada goes into that milieu, hippie culture, and he says, I've come to teach you how to dovetail your consciousness, individual consciousness, to the divine consciousness. So all those hippies said, this is cool. He's like us. He speaks our language. So this is the way you try to create interest in people. So our approach in ISKCON has been to create interest in people. Earlier it was catch interested people. And now, of course, my friends like Gaur Gopal Prabhu, they go to the third level. They try to take care of people's interests. I mean, they may not be interested at all in spiritual life, but still I'll take care of your interests so that you are happy. That's like ultimate compassion, which I can't do. Many of us, because it's exhausting, because we have chosen a path, we have signed up for something. So it's too much, it's too exhausting mentally for us to go out of our way to take care of people without giving them solid spiritual substance. So anyway, why I'm saying this is, this artha, distressed people, those who want money, or those are distressed, or those are curious. So we try to create interest in them. So when I was new, I was coming to temple, ISKCON initially, I was reading different books, but I was also in my final semester. So the preacher, in their attempt to create interest in me, they thought, okay, I may stop coming to the programs, I may not be interested in the Gita. So they said, okay, what are you doing? Okay, I'm studying. So the preacher was teaching me Bhagavad Gita. He said, okay, are you looking for a job? I said, yes. Give me your biodata. And I was thinking, he's a sadhu. What does he know about the corporate world? And then I said, okay, I gave him the biodata, and then he was following up with me, and I was really amazed. But now when I look back, I see he was doing that because he wanted me to stay connected. He was trying to help me so that I somehow take up to Krishna consciousness. So this is what many preachers do. So I was thinking, wow. So when I told this in my college, my friends, they became interested. Their artha, they wanted good career. They thought, ISKCON में जाने से अच्छा job भी मिलता है. I said, the one who's teaching me is from IIT Bombay. He's IIT Bombay wala sadhu. The Kumbh Mela, the IIT Baba was very popular. But that Baba did nothing compared to what our Gaurang Prabhu is doing. He is also from IIT. He's cooking for lakhs of people every day in the Kumbh Mela. So Gaurang Prabhu was the one who was teaching me Bhagavad Gita, and he asked me for my biodata. Then he started asking me, okay, what do you do in finance? Okay, what is the specialty? I said, I've studied monetary policy. And then okay, where have you worked? I spoke about some organizations. He seemed to know about them. I was like, wow. I went back and told my friends. So then many of them who were into Artha seekers, they also started frequenting the temple. So like this, Artha, Jigyasu, Artharthi. And the fourth category is Jnani. Krishna says Jnani means those who are really into, they really want to know the goal of life. They are not happiness seeking, they are purpose seeking. They want to know what is the goal of human life. I don't want to be mediocre. I don't want to live like the animals, eating, sleeping, sex life and defending. There has to be more to life than these things. So they are seekers like Gautam Buddha, Prince Siddharth. They are like really asking deep questions. What is death? Why bad things happen to good people? Does God really exist? So if you are asking any of these questions, that means you are the Jnani. If you are curious, you are Jigyasu. If you are seeking better career prospects through ISKCON programs, then you are Artha. And if you are distressed and you think, okay, Hare Krishna mein jaake thoda shanti milega. People say, I come to ISKCON temple, I feel so peaceful. Life sucks, it's so tough. All the time suffering, anxiety, but when I come to ISKCON temple, I become peaceful. Thoda shanti milta hai. They're looking for painkiller, they're looking for relief. So we have all these four categories of people. And then Krishna says after this, Arjuna, which of these four is most dear to me? Any guesses? Jnani. Krishna says the fourth one is most dear to me, but the other three are very generous and I love them. So Krishna actually appreciates you coming to him rather than not coming to him. And then he says, the fact that you've come to me means you are very, very special. And Krishna speaks this famous verse from the Gita. Bahunam janmanam ante jnanavan mam prapadyate vasudeva sarvamiti sah mahatma sudurlabha. He calls each one of you here as Mahatma. Sudurlabha, very, very rare, because Bahunam janmanam ante. After many, many births, you have actually gone through this journey and evolution. Now you're showing interest. The fact that you come for a Bhagavad Gita class means you've been in this journey for a long time. So Krishna congratulates each one of you here. So this is the accept and reject section of the seventh chapter of the Gita. So what are the four topics? What are the three we have discussed? First one, here, then everywhere, seeing God everywhere, accept and reject. And the last is Devtas or demigods, Devtas. Krishna, that's like the last 10 verses of this chapter where Krishna says, after all this, there are people who know all of this or they're not interested. They are interested in some religion, spirituality, but they don't come to me. They go to Anya Devata. They go to different Devatas, different pujas, different homas, vastu, different Shani. Monday they'll go to Babulnath, Tuesday Siddhi Vinayak, Wednesday Shani Mandir, Thursday Sai Baba, Friday Mahalakshmi, Jarimari Devi, Shitala Devi, Mumba Devi, Saturday Jai Bajrangbali, and Sunday ISKCON temple for the Sunday program. So we keep going to different places. So Krishna speaks about the mentality of most of the people. They're looking for quick material gain. Because Krishna is different than the Devtas. Krishna is like a loving parent. So you go to Krishna and say, Krishna, I want this. Krishna will take care of you. But Krishna may not necessarily give you what you ask from him. This is a little tough. Okay, let me say this. Krishna loves us more than we can imagine. If you come to Krishna with a sincere, desperate desire, I'm saying this from a deep conviction and experience and realization. Like, I really want this. Krishna may not necessarily give you that. But you can feel his loving embrace. You can feel Krishna's warmth in your life. Krishna is a loving parent who gives you what you need, not what you want. You know, a child goes to a shop and he gives 100 rupees. An 8-year-old, 10-year-old child goes and gives 100 rupees to a shop, that Pan Bidi shop. Says, give me 1 packet of cigarettes, gold flake. He's given the money, the shopkeeper will give him the cigarettes. Right? But imagine this boy goes to the father. Dad, I want gold flake cigarettes. Packed. Father won't give him that. So going to Krishna is like going to the father. Devtas ka kya hai? Aisa sab pujas, Puranas explain the different vidhis, pujas. You do all of that, there are certain laws. And of course, we can get into this in greater detail. For that, you need to study the basic course called Journey of Self-Discovery. It's a 6-session course. How many of you have done this course? Wow, some of you have already done this. Yeah, SSD. So we have a teacher's training course happening from tomorrow and next Monday. Anyway, all that later. So if you do this course, then you will be well acquainted with the basic topics of Devtas, one God or many gods. Does God exist? Can I see God? Why one? If there is one God, why so many religions? Why bad things happen to good people? All of those topics are covered in that practical application of the Gita. So anyway, so Krishna, coming to Krishna is little. See, when we pray to Krishna for something desperately, those things you may get, you may not get. But you will come closer to Krishna. And that solves a much bigger problem. So that's what Krishna says in this section. And he says, if you have a strong faith in one of the Devatas, please know that I have given you that faith because I am in your heart as the Paramatma. Because you have this desire, I give you that faith also. And then he says, but those who have small intelligence, Alpa Medasam, they go to these Devatas because they are materially motivated. If you come to Krishna, sooner or later you will give up this mentality. At some point of time you will say, Krishna, what do you want from me? Generally we go to temples, we know what we want. We say, Krishna, I want this, you give me this. That's why we have bells, na? Mandir mein ghanti bajate hain. Thang, ghanti baja, main aa gaya, abhi mujhe de do. But आज कमाल का ताना मारा मंदिर में भगवान ने. अरे I told I'll not say शायरी, but आदत से मजबूर हूँ मैं. आज कमाल का ताना मारा मंदिर में भगवान ने. मांगने आते हो हमेशा, कभी मिलने भी आया करो. So that's what God does. Bhagavad Gita is for those who want to meet Krishna. So Krishna explains here that men of small intelligence go to these Devatas and they seek these blessings. And to be very honest, from childhood, this is what the training I got from my parents and my elders. That you go to a temple, you ask. I mean, you pray, you ask for things. But only when I came to ISKCON, I learned that we pray, God, what can I do for you? And I found it very artificial because I was not from that background. Then I discovered an amazing prayer which till today I practice for last 25 years. ISKCON is not encouraging a very contrived practice, very artificial practice. You can't come to God, whole life you've been asking for material things and you can't start praying now, okay God, I don't want anything from you. I just want to serve. It's so artificial, right? So what do you do then? How do we resolve this? Simple. Just be authentic. Be the way you are. Ask from God what you want. Because that's how most of our great devotees of Krishna have approached Krishna. Dhruva wanted a kingdom greater than his great-grandfather. So you go to God and ask God what you want. But there is a twist here. There's a difference here. This is different than going to Siddhivinayak or Babulnath or any other temple. Just like the devotees who go there, we come to Krishna and we do the same thing. We ask Krishna, please let me get this promotion. Let me get this deal, or let me But there is a twist. We end our prayer by saying, Krishna, I am a fool. I don't know what is good for me. Please give me the intelligence that when I come to you the next time, I can ask for things that are healthy for my spiritual life. Although right now, I want this. When I joined the monastery, I always wanted to come first in our we have monthly exams, not now, but when I joined, we used to have monthly exams on the Bhagavad Gita. Every month, one chapter. We had to study it in depth. And I was a new brahmachari who joined the ashram, and I was very ambitious because I came from an academic background. I had 2 postgraduate degrees, plus I had an honors degree. So I was like in that academic mentality. So I wanted to come first in the exams in the ashram, although I had joined the ashram to serve, to be a servant. But that conditioning was there, and I would feel very guilty for having that desire. Because everybody would be studying in the afternoon and I would be studying. And in the monthly exams, I would get little less than the others, the toppers. I was not the topper, but I was like little below. Unse zyada marks lana hai. So one day, I just couldn't take it because our exterior was, I am your servant. Celebrate others' success. That's what we do always. We celebrate others' success, glorify others, keep ourselves in the background. We present a self-effacing aspect of our personality. मैं कुछ नहीं हूँ बस. But then internally I was ambitious. So then when I approached my mentor and I asked him, how do I resolve this? He said, be ambitious. Ask from Krishna that you want to come first in the exams. I said, but that's completely contrary to the principles that we are embodying in our ashram. He said, no, but if you don't ask for that, you are being artificial. But then I said, but if I ask for it, then I'm being shameless. He said, no, you ask for it and then end your prayer by saying, I'm a fool. I don't know what should I pray for. Please give me the intelligence. And then he quoted the 7th chapter section where Krishna says, don't be of small intelligence. Become more evolved, mature. So like that. So when we have this approach to Krishna and Bhagavad Gita, we'll actually find love in our bhakti practices. And approaching God is very special in the bhakti tradition because generally people approach God out of 4 motivations. One is called Bhaya Buddhi. Bhaya Buddhi means fear. People approach God out of, many religions tell you, if you don't surrender to God, you'll go to hell. You'll burn in hell. In many traditions, that's their motivation to do bhakti is fear. Like yesterday, we had a drama festival in our, every year we have a drama festival in our temple. So dramas are performed at Birla Matashri. So I was returning at 10 o'clock in the night. I was alone in that taxi. So there was this Muslim taxi driver, gentleman who was driving the taxi. He was itching to preach. So just before I reached Dalvi hospital where he was stopping me, he said, Swamiji, a question पूछूं? आप लोग क्या मंत्र बोलते हैं when somebody is dying? I said, Hare Krishna mantra, I told him. अच्छा, कोई दूसरा धर्म का होगा तो? I said, to him also we chant Hare Krishna. I said, दोनों के Hare Krishna बोलते हैं? I said, yes. आप क्या बोलते हो? I asked. Then he said, अगर वो मुस्लिम है, then he said some mantra, some Urdu, something from the Quran. And I carefully heard it because once upon a time I used to also read Quran. So I caught there was something referring to heaven. And then I said, okay, what if a non-Muslim, you see a dead body, non-Muslim body, what would you chant? So then he chanted some prayer. And there I heard him say, Jannum. I caught that word. I said, so this is a different prayer for both? He said, yes. And then I said, so Jannum means hell. So then he was trying to cover it up, but I had caught him. And then I realized that I don't want to waste my time with him because it was already 10 and I had to get up early in the morning. But I kind of told him that you can't fool me. You can't, I know your agenda. So the whole thing is, he said, as I was leaving, he said, but Swamiji, humko khuda se darna chahiye. That was his last statement. Darna chahiye khuda se. We should be scared of being what is that called? Sure, they call it, I forget the term, which is like defying the Lord's laws. So you should be always afraid of God. So when he said, Khuda se daro, he didn't chastise me, but he said, hame Khuda se darna chahiye. So I immediately realized this is Bhaya Buddhi. He has been trained from childhood to approach God out of fear. And that's why they invoke fear in others also, many of them. But there are religious traditions which teach you to approach God a little higher than fear. Bhaya buddhi se upar hai.
Papa Bhiti, Daiva Priti, Sanghani.
Wow.
Daiva Priti and Papa Bhiti, not fear of God, fear of sin.
Yes. But he said, Khuda se daro. So some people, they are trained like that. They're basically told that God will burn you in hell for eternity. On the day of judgment, Qayamat ke din, you will be taken to task. So Bhaya Buddhi is one way people approach God. A little different is Asha Buddhi. Asha Buddhi is desire. Child obeys the father because it could be because he's afraid of punishment, or he obeys the parent because he is going to get some lollipop, some chocolate, some desire. So many people go to God because कुछ मिलेगा. वो डुबकी लगाएंगे कुंभ मेला में तो कुछ तो मिलेगा. That Asha Buddhi is very strong. But higher than that is Kartavya Buddhi. I approach God as a sense of duty, gratitude, because I get so many gifts from God. If I'm thirsty, you give me water, I immediately say thank you. But unfortunately, my gentlemanly behavior ends there. I get abundant water supply all the time. I get sunlight. So many things the nature is providing me. Am I thanking the Lord for it? So this mood of gratitude, not just saying a thank you, but meaning a thank you, and more importantly, living a thank you. That is Kartavya Buddhi. And ISKCON, Bhakti Yoga tradition, teaches us the fourth way of approaching God, which is Prema Buddhi, Priti Buddhi, as he said. Where we approach or serve God out of love. Not because I want something, but I genuinely, and when there is love, automatically you serve. Or I serve to develop love. So Krishna encourages this in the 7th chapter. So there are 4 main topics in the 7th chapter. The first is hearing. Second, everywhere. God is everywhere. And third, accept and reject. Who are the kind of people? Who are the 4 kind of people who reject God? First, foolish, hardworking people. Second, ruthless, Naradhama. Third, speculators. And fourth, openly atheistic. And who are the 4 kinds of people who come to Krishna? Wait. Distressed, curious, desirous, and purpose-driven or Jnani. And which of the 4 is most dear to Krishna? The Jnani. But Krishna is open to everyone. He encourages everyone. That was the 2nd topic. The 3rd topic. And the last is the Devatas. Krishna says the less intelligent people go to the Devatas for materialistic purpose. Now, before we start the verses chanting, I just want to make one more clarification. Having said this about the Devatas, we in ISKCON, we respect the Devatas. I myself been to Santoshi, Gamdevi I go regularly, but also I've gone to Vaishnavi Devi. So I go to my Kuladevi and I put Kuladevi's kumkum every day. So we worship, we respect our Devatas, our traditions. It's not that just because, Krishna says they are less intelligent, that doesn't mean we reject the culture that Krishna has given. See, our heart belongs to Krishna, but we respect all the Devatas because they are part of this amazing, giant, cosmic system. It's like a typical traditional Indian joint family where the girl gets married and she comes to the family. Her first attachment is to her husband. So we fancy ourselves as that young girl who's got married and we've come to this family. But this is a big family. There is father-in-law, there's mother-in-law, there is sister-in-law, brother-in-law, so many kakis, so many relatives. So just because I love my husband and I serve my husband and I'm attached to him doesn't mean I ignore everybody else in the family. And just because everybody is important for me doesn't mean I ignore my husband. Or I know Funda is very clear. My first priority is my husband, but everybody is part of the same family. So we are part of the same Sanatana Dharma, so we respect all the Devatas. But at the same time, we in the Bhakti Yoga tradition, we offer our heart exclusively to Krishna, and that's where we experience a relationship. Krishna, when we say this, Krishna, I am yours, Krishna, I belong to you, that act of saying these words with emotion catapults our consciousness to the next level. We experience a divine union, a connection with the Lord. So this is the essence of the 7th chapter. So if you have to go back and share with your friends, you can say 7th chapter is all about head, H-E-A-D. H stands for hear, E for seeing God everywhere, and A is accept and reject, and D is for devtas. So we spoke about the E and D. So now we'll focus on, A and D. We'll focus on H and E, the hearing part. So you can repeat after me these verses, and then one of you can read the translation, and then I'll explain a little bit. Okay, the first verse, please repeat after me. Shri Bhagavan Vacha. Shri Bhagavan Vacha. Maya Sakta Mana Partha. Maya Sakta Mana Partha. Yogam Yunjan Madashraya. Yogam Yunjan Madashraya. Asamshayam Samagram Mam. Asamshayam Samagram Mam. Yata Gyasasi Tachrunu. Yata Gyasasi Tachrunu. Any one of you who has access? Yes, please.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Now hear, O son of Vraja, how by practicing yoga and full consciousness of me, with mind attached to me, you can know me in full, free from doubt."
So Krishna is saying the last word of this verse, Yata Gyasasi Tach, Shrunu means hear. Bhakti Yoga, the foundation is hearing. When we study scriptures, that's also included in hearing. Basically, hearing refers to the act of receiving knowledge from a higher source with an open heart, allowing ourselves to be influenced by a sublime knowledge. It's not blind acceptance. In fact, in the 4th chapter, we discussed where Krishna encourages Arjuna to ask questions all the time. Pariprashnena sevaya, but the attitude of asking questions is a service attitude. I have this amazing experience every year I go to UK. They have a youth group called Pandav Sena. Very different from the youth group we have in India. Young boys and girls, my God, you can't give a class for more than 20 minutes. 20 minutes talk and then next 1 hour question answers. They only ask, and it'll appear as if they are very haughty, like they'll ask so many challenging questions. Alag teda dimag se sochte rahenge. But amazing service attitude. Class ke baad pura seva karte rahenge. And many of the questions I say, I don't know the answer. I'll find out. And they're okay with that. But they just like to discuss because that's the way they're educated. They're trained to think, to ask, to go deeper, ask questions. So, maza aata hai unke saath, They ask questions, but they also serve. The attitude is very healthy. And sometimes when I tell them, I don't know, pata karte hain, they're okay with not getting the answers. At the same time, the attitude is not asking questions for the heck of it. Genuinely, they're interested. They're curious to know. But when I tell them something, they're open to hear. ये बहुत जरूरी है. This is the way we get spiritual knowledge. Now, Srila Prabhupada, the founder of ISKCON, he was very elderly. He was 75, 76. He was traveling all over the world. He would give Bhagavad Gita classes and would speak strong language sometimes. So, you rascal. And of course, Srila Prabhupada told his young disciples, don't imitate me. He said, a child and an old man can get away with anything. So he told us not to imitate him during, we can't give discourses like him. But I hear his classes every day. And I find a sense of shelter that I cannot describe in words. It's as if a loving grandfather is admonishing a deviant grandchild. And you can see in his classes a lot of compassion. Like he's saying, so human life is very rare. Don't waste your life, you rascal. I'm like, yes. So the point is, when a saintly person is speaking, the whole idea in the Vedic culture is, we go to that class, the tashrunu, the point, the hearing is, the mood is, this is how traditionally it would happen. You go to a satsang program, you go to a class, and you are like, okay, sir, I am allowing myself to be influenced by the words that you speak. I am not resisting it. I surrender. See, it's not blind following. Because you see that person's character also. It's not that he has to walk his talk, obviously. But the attitude is, yes, let it influence me. And that's when the Vijnanamaya Kosha, the wisdom sheath develops. That's when you get epiphany. That's when you evolve. That's when things fall in place. So, it's like this. The Bhagavatam, this is Bhagavad Gita is like the graduate course. The postgraduate course is the Srimad Bhagavatam. So you see, the Bhagavatam begins with the speaker saying, generally, a speaker role is always very warm to the audience. Oh, very nice question. How are you? What are you doing? But Shukdev Goswami is a sadhu. He begins the class. He's telling his audience, Shvavid vara ushtra khare samstutah purusha pashu nayat karanapato peto jatu nama gadagraja. You dog, you donkey, you pig. He starts scolding. And the audience is like, yeah, you're right. Aap say, humko daato. The whole mood is, I want to learn, I want to improve. And that's sweet. That's a sort of compassion. Like I'll give an example. Recently, one of my very favorite teachers of spiritual life, you can find his lectures on YouTube, is Bhakti Vigyan Goswami Maharaj. He's from Russia. Educated, born and raised in Russia, but he's a pakka in Vedic astronomy, astrology, Bhagavad Gita, Sanskrit, Shastras, Sandarbhas. He's like, only when he speaks, he's Russian, but otherwise, he's more Indian than most of us combined together. And he's a ISKCON devotee practitioner for the last 45 years. And I love his classes because he's a scientist by profession. He was a scientist in Russia, Moscow. The KGB would, when Russia was USSR, the KGB was chasing him and he survived many attempts on his life. He's like an amazing, amazing sannyasi. And I correspond with him and he's very kind to me. So I hear his classes all the time. So recently I was hearing his class. A group of us were hearing. And in that class he was speaking about, he's a sadhu. He's genuine. And he's always laughing in his classes. But pyar se he was saying, so that was, I think, Akshaya Tritiya day or something. And in Akshaya Tritiya, people buy gold. So he was speaking about Hiranyaksha. One character in the Srimad Bhagavatam called Hiranyaksha. And he was explaining Hiranyaksha means what? Hiranya means gold, Aksha means eyes. Then he said, so you are thinking Hiranyaksha is somebody who has eyes of gold? No. Hiranyaksha means he has eyes for gold. He's always looking out for gold. That's why he's a demon. And today is Akshaya Tritiya. So all of you are buying, looking for gold. So all of you are Hiranyaksha. So he's laughing, we are all laughing, the audience is laughing. It's obvious that but in one sense what he's saying is, he's basically calling the audience, he's calling you, me, a demon. So I was listening and then we were laughing and then there was another brahmachari with me. He said, wow, what a strong statement. He just said, we are demons. But we are wanting gold, but grahasthas need gold. They need to have savings. I said, wo sab sahi hai, wo karo aap. But class sunte samay bolne ka, I'm a demon. Because that purifies you. That's a sign of humility, And you continue doing what you are doing in a sober way. That's a culture of Shrunu, the hearing. That's what Krishna is encouraging. So I love Srila Prabhupada's classes because I remember in one conversation, this June 23, 1976, Srila Prabhupada would often have debates. He would make his disciples act as scientists, atheistic scientists, and he would be like the sadhu, Swami, and they would have a debate. So Srila Prabhupada would say, so God exists, God is beautiful. And this devotee, disciple of Srila Prabhupada, is acting as a scientist. He would say, where is the proof? And then Srila Prabhupada would say something, and then this disciple would say, but we are scientists. We believe that life comes from chemicals. And then Srila Prabhupada would say, this is bogus. Life comes from life. Life doesn't come from chemicals. Chemicals comes from life. Like that. They would have that intense debate. And the entire debate, I was hearing that. The whole debate, Srila Prabhupada acting as the guru, sadhu, and the disciple acting as the educated scientist. Srila Prabhupada, in every answer, he would say, rascal. He would keep saying the word rascal. So when the disciple said, we are scientists, we want proof, Srila Prabhupada would immediately say, you rascal, what proof you want? Like he would say, but life comes from chemicals. Srila Prabhupada would say, no, life comes from life. Can you produce Life from chemicals? You tell me what are the chemicals in a dead body, you rascal. I'll give you all the chemicals, inject that chemicals into a dead body and bring it back to life. You rascal. Like that, he kept saying rascal. So I was like, wow, this is strong. And the disciples, they know the maryada, they know the etiquette. He's ultimately our guru. So they are debating, but they are hearing Srila Prabhupada keeps, he kept saying rascal. So at one point of time, one disciple challenged. He said, that's okay, Swamiji, but why do you call us rascal? That was a good argument. And when he said that, now this is a question. Now this is not pre-planned answer. This is like a debate going on. Spontaneously, without batting an eyelid, Srila Prabhupada, this 78-year-old Swamiji, who's gone to America to preach the message of Krishna consciousness, in an instant, as soon as his disciple challenged, why do you call us rascal? Immediately he blurts out, because I love you. He just said it, just like that. He said, I love you. I can't see you suffer. Do you understand, you rascal? Again he called him a rascal. So these disciples are hearing, Shrunu. That the mood is, aap humko sudharo, hum nalayak hai, hum buddhu hai. That mood is very healthy for spiritual growth. So this is about hearing. And then you see the text number 4 onwards, Krishna speaks about how we can see. Now this is very, very important section. How do we see God everywhere? Won't life be wonderful if you could see God everywhere?
Yes.
Isn't it amazing? So let's see how Krishna teaches us this. Please repeat after me, text number 4. Okay, wait, before that, text number 3 is very, very important. Please repeat after me. Text number 3. Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschid yatati siddhaye yatatamati siddhanam kaschin mam veti tatvatah. Yes, one of you.
Out of many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection, and of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth.
So out of thousands of people, only very rarely somebody wants to know about truth. So the fact that you're coming for the Gita classes means you are on the right track, you are seeking this truth. And then Krishna reveals how we can learn to see him everywhere. He gives a sutra, he gives a mantra in text number 7. This is one of the most popular, famous verses of the Gita. Verse number 7 of chapter 7. Please repeat. Mattaha parataram nanya kinchidaste dhananjaya Mai sarvam idam protam Sutre mani gana iva.
O commoner of wealth, there is no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me, as pearls are strung on a thread.
So when you see a garland, for example, there are so many flowers. But an intelligent, a discerning observer knows that these flowers are joined together by a thread that binds them. The thread is not seen. Just because it is not seen doesn't mean there is no thread. Similarly, the fact that there is harmony, there is order, there is design in this universe, there is a plan, things are happening in a certain way, means there is something that is binding all of this together. And Krishna says, I am that sutre mani gana iva. I am that binding factor. We need to learn to see the connection. Actually, most of the most evolved Nobel laureates, neuroscientists, astrophysicists, all of them admit that we are all connected to each other at some level. And that explanation is given in the Gita, that sutra, that connection is Krishna. Who is called the father of science? Anybody knows? Father of science, father of economics is Alfred Marshall. No, sorry, Adam Smith, father of economics. Father of science?
Einstein?
Sir Isaac Newton, the one who saw the apple fall down. So Newton was a a believer in God, and he had an atheistic friend. This is a very interesting story. For the atheist friend, so Newton thought, I'll teach my friend a lesson. So one day, he called his friend home, and through an artisan, through some craftsmanship, he had created a model of the solar system in his house. There was a beautiful model where all the planets were, he had stimulated everything in such a way that it, you had to pull a lever and then everything would move in a certain way. So his friend was impressed. He said, wow, what a beautiful model you made of the solar system. How did you make it? Who made it? And Newton very nonchalantly said, this just popped up. This just came by chance. I didn't do this. So the friend said, come on, you can't joke with me like that. Tell me who made it, how you did this. But they kept, that was a banter for some time. And then Newton said, you can't believe, you accept or you believe that this whole universe has come by chance, but you can't accept that a small model has come by chance. If this needs intelligence, don't you think the whole cosmic arrangement also needs an intelligence? That's how he educated his atheistic friend. When sometimes somebody makes a beautiful painting. Have you seen a beautiful painting of a rose sometime?
Yeah.
You say, wow, कितना सुंदर बनाया है painting of a rose. And immediately you think, किसने बनाया? वो painting, there's a name written somewhere down. Now, a painting of a rose has only one feature, color. And it is so beautifully made, we know that somebody has made it. Sometimes people make a rose out of paper. It has color and it also has shape. It has a form. It is two-dimensional. And we feel like, किसने कितना अच्छा बनाया paper rose. Painting of a rose needs a painter. Paper rose needs some artist. And a paper rose has only two things, color and shape. But a real rose has color, form, fragrance, and taste also. Rose water is so sweet. And we see a real rose, we think, अपने आप आ गया. ऐसा कैसे? ऐसा नहीं है. There is this sutre mani ganaiva. There is this thread that binds. We need to know that there is some force, some intelligence behind all of this. So then how do we start seeing? That is text number 8. Rasoham apshu kaunteya Prabhashmi shashi suryayo Pranava sarva vedeshu Shabdakhe paurusham drishu
O son of Kunti, I am the taste of water, the light of the sun and the moon, the syllable Om in the Vedic mantras. I am the sound in ether and ability in man.
So, we've been sometimes very thirsty. You don't, if somebody offers you 7-Up, you don't want 7-Up. You just want water. And that water, when it enters, the way it quenches your thirst, the experience that you have, that taste, Krishna says, I am that. The light of the sun. So when we're experiencing this, we can see this is Krishna. This is God. Text number 9 also we can chant. Punyo gandha prithviyam cha Tejas chasmi vibhavaso Jivanam sarva bhuteshu Tapaschasmi tapasvisu
I am the original fragrance of the earth, and I am the heat and fire. I am the life of all that lives, and I am the evidence of all
ascetics. The original fragrance of the earth. The first raindrop that falls and the fragrance it creates. That's Shuddha Sattva, that is Krishna. Your nostrils can be assaulted by different kinds of smells at different modes. Like a spiritual experience to give a contrast. Like I was in August Kranti Maidan for a walk. There's an elderly gentleman and very impolite he was. And he caught me, wanted to talk to me, put me on a bench, and he started flatulating. It was horrible. I wanted to run away. But he was left, right and center, breaking wind, and he was farting, and I was like, but I was polite. He was incorrigible. Somehow when he left, so that entire experience was tamasic. But somehow I escaped. Then I went, I sat on another bench, relaxed. And then suddenly I realized, the bench just behind me, there was a young couple in love. And they had put on heavy perfume. And that assaulted my nostril. That was rajasic. That was passion. So the initial experience was tamasic, complete ignorance. Here was a very passionate assault on my nostrils. It was better than the earlier experience. But still it wasn't the same. Both were too much. Then I said, nahi, dono nahi chahiye. Then I went for a walk. So there was this gardener, wahan pe wo pani dal raha tha. And there was the mixing of the water with the earth, and then there were beautiful fragrant flowers. That was sattva. So this was evening around 8 o'clock. No, 5:36. So I sat there, I took it in. And then I came to temple, I took rest, and then morning I wake up, I went to the temple hall, and the curtains opened at 5 in the morning. And there is fragrance on the altar because we put garlands on the deities. Morning 5 when the conch shell blows and the curtain opens. And that fragrance, looking at the beautiful deities, that was beyond sattva. That is called Shuddha Sattva. So that fragrance is also Krishna. So the point I'm saying is when we connect to the Lord through the experiences in this world, through the 3 modes. We'll come to the modes in a later section of the Gita. But we need to connect with Krishna at different levels. We'll take one more verse, text number 11. Please repeat after me, 11. Balam balavatam chaham.
Balam balavatam chaham.
Kamaraga vivarjitam.
Kamaraga vivarjitam.
Dharma viruddha bhuteshu.
Dharma viruddha bhuteshu.
Kamosmi bharatarshava.
Kamosmi bharatarshava.
Yes, loudly.
I am the strength of the strong, devoid of passion and desire. I am sex life, which is not contrary to religious principles, O Lord of the Bharatas.
So Krishna is giving place for all experiences in this material world. Even sex life, Krishna says, I am that. So the whole idea is this world has been created, we have scope for spiritual experiences even in this creation. Although there is a reality beyond this sphere of existence, there is a metaphysical reality. But even in this physical dimension, we can experience God. But that doesn't mean you get comfortable and you don't seek anything higher than this. Because in this beautiful nature, which you may say, I see God everywhere, the Bhagavad Gita also describes later in the 10th and 11th chapter, that you say, wow, this nature is God, this is beautiful. I see the sunrise, I see the birds chirping, I see these beautiful fragrant flowers in the garden. All of that is okay. But in that beautiful forest, beautiful nature, you will see there are animals and worms fighting and killing each other. Jivo jivasya jivanam, Bhagavatam says. The snake. There is this video that was viral some time ago. The frog is trying to eat an insect. Its tongue is out, it's catching an insect. And that frog, as it is catching that insect, is inside the mouth of a serpent. That's our existence. We are trying to be in this world, trying to enjoy, but we are inside the mouth of the serpent of time. So nature, we feel the soft touch of nature, but we also know behind that soft touch is deathly claws of Mother Nature. She's waiting to throw us out of our complacency. We will be attacked by old age. We will, I have seen old age, how people go nervous, how they become so insecure. This is the reality. So therefore, we can't just see God only here. We need to see that this place is like an educational institution. This material world is like, when you enter a hostel, those who studied in a hostel, those who've been in college hostel, you enter, you need to make some basic arrangements there so that you're comfortable. But you don't make permanent arrangement there. You need some basic facility. But ठीक है यार, थोड़ा बहुत, but यहाँ से निकलना है, graduation करना है. So material world is a place where we learn, we grow, evolve. Permanent residency नहीं है यहाँ. So that's the Bhagavad Gita complete. But here in this section, Krishna is saying, please understand, you can see me even in sex life. That much concession Krishna is giving. So that's very heartwarming, that's very hope-giving for people, because they think, ठीक है, अगर हम religious life जी रहे हैं, then we are properly situated. But we need to go beyond. That also Krishna explains later in the Gita. So like this, this is basically the 4 topics. And we spoke the other things already about one of you can read the translations of.
I have a question on this.
I'll take questions now. I'll complete this. Okay? Just two minutes. Can someone read the translation of text number 15 and 16? Yes, you can read. Yeah, loudly.
Those miscreants who are grossly foolish, who are lowest among mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and who partake of the atheistic nature of demons, do not surrender unto him.
Okay, somebody else can read the 16th one now? Any of the ladies? Okay, yeah.
Best among the Bharatas, 4 kinds of pious men begin to
render
devotional service unto me: the distressed, the desire of health, the inquisitive, and he who is
searching for knowledge
of the absolute.
Yes, this is like this. So we discussed this already. And text number, just a sample of the Devtas worship. Krishna speaks about that. You can read 23rd translation of verse number 23. Any one of the ladies would like to read? Yes, loudly.
Men of the small intelligence worship the demigods, and their fruits are limited and temporary. Those who worship the demigods go to the planets of the demigods, but my devotees ultimately reach my supreme planet.
Yes, so like this. This is the essence of the 7th chapter. So 4 topics. First is here, and here strong language of the scriptures, because the whole mood of scriptures is afflict the comforted and comfort the afflicted. If you are disturbed, you will find the same scriptures giving you comfort. But if you're complacent, you'll find the same scripture shaking you up. So that's the first topic here. Second is seeing God everywhere. Third is who are the people who accept God and who reject God. And the final is Devtas, a relationship with the Devtas. So now we'll have some 10 minutes, 15 minutes of questions and answers and discussions, and then we can have melodious Kirtan, Hare Krishna Kirtan. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So in Sloka 11 we see
Chaham, Raga, Vivarjitam.
So you are saying that devoid of Kama and Raga, that is attachment and passion. And then he said Dharma
Viruddha Bhuteshu Kamosmi.
So you are saying about Kama in the second line. The first line is saying devoid of Kama and Raga.
Yeah. So Balam Balavatam Chaham.
What is this Dharma Viruddha? So it is devoid. He's saying it is not against Dharma. So what is not against Dharma? I want to know that also.
Yeah.
What is with Dharma and what is against Dharma?
Yes. So first is Balam Balavatam Chaham. Krishna says, I am strength of the strong, which is devoid of passion and desire. Kama Raga. What it refers to is, see, strength. You've seen in warfare, there is a principle followed, that like India, let's give an example, Kargil war, for example. The Indian army is fighting the Pakistan army. So there is display of strength, not to kill the enemy. Right? So there is strength. But the Indian army follows this ethos. Kama Raga Vivarjitam. There is killing of the enemy, but it is not personal. Like after the Kargil war, because Pakistan wanted to say that they won the war. So they didn't release the number of soldiers dead. They waited for India to release the figures. And then they wanted to release their figures, which would be less than India, so that they would have eventually won the war. So now, interestingly, when India released the numbers, they released later, giving a much lesser number, but 20 times more soldiers had been killed on the other side. So anyway, so what to do with the dead bodies? So the Pakistan army refused to take the dead bodies, saying that ये हमारे लोग नहीं हैं. Now, Indian army gives a letter to the Pakistan government saying that these soldiers from your army fought really well. They deserve, like we have Paramveer Chakra, you need to give these awards to them. मतलब कुछ पर्सनल नहीं है बाबा, अच्छा युद्ध किया. So this is fighting, this is strength, but devoid of raga and kama. And then again the Pakistan army refused to accept, so then Indian army arranges Maulvis to fly from Delhi in a helicopter to come to Kargil and perform the final rites of Pakistani soldiers. And they're buried with all state honors and through religious tradition. इसको बोलते हैं killing with grace. मतलब मारा भी उसको अच्छे से मारा. Like Ram and Ravan army. Ravana's soldiers, Ravana's demons were dying in the war, Ramayana describes. As soon as the Rakshasas would die, Ravan would throw off all the dead soldiers into the ocean because he didn't want Ram's army to see the dead bodies, because then they would get strength. Whereas Ram insisted that whoever died in the Vanaras, their bodies would be preserved. And then when Hanuman brought that Sanjeevani, and when the paste was made, the fragrance brought Ram and Lakshman back to life, and that fragrance permeated, it spread everywhere, and it brought back to life all the dead soldiers of Ram also. But that benefit Ravana's soldiers could not get because their dead bodies had already been dumped into the sea. So for Ravana, his soldiers were a resource. Usko use karo, pheko. For Ram, they were worshipable. So strength, so that is the meaning of using strength devoid of passion and desire. Now coming to sex life, this is interesting. Dharma viruddha bhuteshu. Now you will see scriptures condemn unregulated, unrestricted sex life also. Many places scriptures say, Ahara nidra bhayamaitunam cha samanyametat pashubir naranam. Eating, sleeping, sex life and defending animals and humans. This is same, but humans are different because, what is the next line? Third line. Dharmo hi tesham adhiko vishesho dharme nahina pashubir samanam. Dharma is what differentiates humans from animals. So dharma means living a life for a higher purpose. So sex life, which is not contrary to religious principles or not against dharma, means sex life within the institution of, in the traditional setup, within the institution of marriage or a sacred bonding where there is blessing of elders. So in that setup where the goal is not sex life, if sex life is a result of a bonding and affection, it is accepted. But if sex life is what is driving the relationship, then you are considered as an animal. There is a difference between sex as a goal and sex as a natural expression of affection or love. आप समझ गए? एक होता है obsession with sex. So that is the meaning of dharma viruddha bhutesh.
That is calm, right?
Yeah, that is kama. That is not prema. Of course, both. That's another subject matter. We'll come to that also later. But right now, in this context, in Krishna consciousness, sex life has its place within the sacred institution of marriage with one's legitimate partner, where the act is an expression of affection, not the goal of the relationship. Once it becomes the goal, then we are clubbed with animals, according to the Vedic scriptures. Is that okay, sir?
Yeah.
And I saw some hand here. Yes. Yeah. We'll take your question first. Yes.
So, when you say Kuldevi and the example what you give, when we are worshipping demigods, so we have been worshipping demigods for a long period of time. So when now we see a demigod, we don't see the way. So how do we worship them or give them respect of? Means when I'm focused, means I'm into Krishna consciousness or empires. But I have observed that now my natural affection for that demigods is becoming very
Less.
less.
Fine,
So
perfectly.
is it,
Perfectly fine, as long as you don't disrespect them. अरे आपको अगर प्यार है तो अरे देवता का गोल ही है. See, if you read the Bhagavatam, 6th canto beautifully describes the goal of the devatas is to help you come closer to Krishna. They will be more than happy. But you can't be offensive. That's against the principle of Sanatana Dharma. Then we'll become jihadis and the missionaries, in disguise. We are like them. We can't disrespect. See, I'll tell you a classic example. You have heard of Henry David Thoreau, Ralph Waldo Emerson? They are some of the greatest philosophers in the great land of America. Sorry, just my toe. Okay. So, Henry David Thoreau wrote a book called Walden, which is arguably the greatest book America has ever produced. It's a philosophical treatise. So, he wrote it in Boston, Massachusetts. He was staying at the bank of this lake called Walden. And he stayed there for 3 years in 1840s. And his mentor was Ralph Waldo Emerson. He was a professor at Harvard. And they were both influenced by Bhagavad Gita. If you read Thoreau's Walden, you will see Bhagavad Gita, although he doesn't mention Gita. So they were completely influenced by Upanishads and the Gita. And Emerson went to such an extent. Emerson, Thoreau, and he had another friend, Dr. Oliver Wendell Holmes. He was a doctor. This is in the 1850s, okay? They made a group in Boston. They called it the Boston Brahmin Community. Even today you'll find a page on Wikipedia, Boston Brahmin Community. None of them are Indians there, all from America, all Americans, followers of Emerson and Thoreau. You can check later, not during the class. आजकल internet में तुरंत whatever you say can be questioned, you can immediately know you are speaking the truth. So Emerson, why I'm saying this? So Emerson, they had studied Vedantic principles very deeply. So then when he went to Harvard, they had called him for the convocation ceremony. Now this is a very important point. I'm talking about your Devta worship. So there he goes. Now you may remember, this Harvard at that time was strongly controlled by the Catholic, some Roman Catholic group. And here is Emerson. His aunt had raised him and she was also a strong Roman Catholic. And here comes Emerson, a very renowned scholar in America and a philosopher. And he's giving this convocation ceremony talk. And he speaks the entire 10th chapter of the Gita, seeing God everywhere. He doesn't quote the Gita. He says how we should see God in nature. We should see God in the trees, God in the rain. He speaks about all of these things. And according to Christian tradition, this is called like pantheism and this is like condemned. This is not acceptable. And people start, they are shocked. They start booing him. And he's actually banned from entering that Harvard premises. And his aunt is devastated because she's a hardcore Roman Catholic. And he says, "No, we can't disrespect nature." Because that's what he has learned from the Vedic tradition. So he was such a fanatic. There are people from that tradition who become fanatics. But he had an open mind. So what I'm saying, if you are a devotee of Krishna, you need to respect God's creation, God's agents. But if your heart is to Krishna, then theek hai. Like we have Janvi. She's grown up in our temple premises. Now she's a 23-year-old girl. Now I've seen her since she was a small, she did homeschooling. She grew up in the temple premises practically. She comes on my Monday Bhagavad Gita classes. And she told me recently when I was speaking this section, and she doesn't know anything other than Krishna. Because her whole life, 23 years of life, she's only been seeing Radha Gopinath. So she tells me, "Prabhu, but I never go to Babulnath. I never go to Siddhivinayak. But I have nothing against them. But whenever I get time, I come running to Radha Gopinath temple. Is that okay?" I said, "That's perfectly fine. That's healthy." Because she loves Krishna. And she has no relationship with any of the devtas. But she's not offensive. She's respectful. She knows that, see, our ancestors are not fools. They had a whole system. They followed a proper culture. So we respect that. But aap apna dil de diya hai Bhagwan ko, to theek hai.
Okay, and another question arises like if we have, why was this Kul-Devta system established? When at the first place, the Vedas clearly mention that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. And demigods are there, but still Kul-Devtas are there. So why is all this?
That's why journey of self-discovery course karna padega. We are advertising for the course. So there is this entire section called One God or Many Gods. There we'll discuss this in greater detail. See, we all have different desires. So God is very kind. See, everybody is not ready for everything. So we have, Krishna is very kind. He has created a system where at whatever level we are, we can come closer to God. We can follow some authority. We can follow some submission. So not everybody is wanting pure bhakti, devotional service. We have desires so that we follow some system to fulfill those desires. We follow some process.
Yeah, but see, I'm not arguing anyway, but it is like if Krishna is telling that I am giving through demigods, so even if a materialistic person can approach Krishna, he's unapproachable. Kali Bhakti Shastri wale log aa sakte hain, nahi. So my question is that instead of making so many demigods and kul devtas, if a person, a materialistic person is approaching Krishna, he can get even materialistic desires.
Yes, he gets.
So that is the main point, that why are these demigods and why are these kul devtas in between, when we can directly approach God and we can get something materialistic also?
Yes, we can get, but not all of us want. See, not all of us want Krishna's love. We're not ready for it. We are like stubborn children. Many of us are determined to rot in this material world. So Krishna is kind. He takes care of us. That is his compassion. See, if he forces, then it's, if I put a gun on your head and say, okay, tell me you love me. I love you. Okay, he said, she said she loves me. Oh, love is जबरदस्ती का love है. मैंने एक बंदूक रखा है आपके सर पे. If you say out of your own violation, I love you, that is love. So Krishna doesn't want forced love. He doesn't want you to say, okay, I love you, Krishna. नहीं यार, ठीक है, आपको जो चाहिए मैं फैसिलिटी बनाता हूँ, आप फॉलो करो, मर्यादा से रहो. That's why, in the Vedic system, there is worship of Kali. There are a lot of worship, tantric worship also given because they're at that level. But there is a system given. You follow that system. Like Amavasya ko, there is a particular direction you look at, and then you kill the goat. And then when you're killing that animal, you're chanting the mantra Mam Saha, which actual translation means that I am now killing you, but next life you become the human and you kill me. And you're chanting that mantra, you're killing that goat, offering to Kali, and you're taking the prasad. But at one point of time, you'll say, "Arey, मैं इतना mantra बोल रहा हूँ, इसका मतलब क्या है?" Then you'll ask the mantra, some expert, and that person will explain to you the meaning. Then you may get a thought, "Acha, next life I have to get the reaction for this. Then why kill the goat?" Then you may inquire higher, and you may move higher. So like that, you evolve, you gradually grow, and eventually you give it up. नहीं तो जबरदस्ती नहीं होता है, ऐसा है. Okay, is that okay? Okay, now.
This is short.
Yes, and then we'll take your comment. Yes.
So we have sattva, rajas, and tamas.
Yes.
But there's you mentioned about shuddha sattva.
Yes.
Can you?
Yes. Yeah. So there are. Okay. To answer your question, we can chant this verse, text number 13. Please repeat after me. 13. त्रिभिर्गुणमयैर्भावैर् एभिः सर्वमिदं जगत् मोहितं नाभिजानाति मामेभ्यः परमव्ययम्. Yes, you can read.
Deluded by the three modes, goodness, passion, and ignorance, the whole world does not know me, who am above the modes and inexhaustible.
So there are the three energies: passion, tamas, and sattva, goodness. And we are controlled by this, and we are not able to know Krishna. And Krishna is beyond this. So then the next verse, Krishna explains what we can do to go beyond these three modes. I'll come to the answer to your question, but we'll chant 14 also. Devi esha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya mame vaye prapadyante maya me tam tarantite. Yes, you'd like to read one of you? Yes.
three modes of material nature is difficult to overcome, but those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it.
Okay, so there are three modes. So these control us, and you may be in Sattva Guna, but still you are in the material world. So if you surrender to Krishna, Mamevai Prapadyante, when we remember Krishna, then we become free from these three modes, and then the energy field that we enter, that is called as Shuddha Sattva. Like I'll give an example.
So surrender is the
Shuddha Sattva.
So
Yes.
This would be
Huh?
this.
Bliss is an experience, but the state of living is where you are in a state of surrender. Yeah, one of the qualities of that state could be bliss. But see, it's like this. I'll give an example. You are here, this is Grant Road, you want to go to the airport. So you take a taxi, and as soon as you leave, at Haji Ali you get stuck, traffic. And you are wanting to go, but you can't do anything. Somebody else has left before you to go to the airport, and he is stuck at Andheri. And airport say 5 minutes duri pe, but he got stuck there and he's not able to get a lot of luggage. Gaadi atak gaya. The third person has reached the airport. He's inside the airport. Now, the one who is stuck here at Haji Ali is compared to Tamoguna, very far from God. One who is stuck at Andheri is like Sattva-guna. He is also covering is very thick. He is not near to the God, not near to the Lord. And Sattva-guna means you are in the airport, but still you haven't taken off. So you have checked in, boarding pass ab ho gaya, and you dozed off, and they're announcing, Mr. Kirtan, aao, aapka flight ja raha hai, aao, and you are like, sorry, and the flight takes off. So you have reached the airport. So in the ultimate analysis, somebody stuck at Haji Ali and somebody in the airport, both are same, because both missed the flight. So in India, you'll find a lot of people in Sattva-guna. They'll get up early in the morning, they're very peaceful, they'll do breathing, semi-spiritual activities. See, there are non-spiritual activities, there are semi-spiritual, and there are spiritual activities. So there are semi-spiritual is like I do journaling, relaxation, nature walks, all that is great. But if we don't offer our heart to the Lord, then flight take off nahi. We have not boarded the flight. So that Shuddha Sattva is boarding the flight. Wo flight take off ho gaya. So that is the point. So Rajas, Tamas and Sattva. No, Sattva is better. Being at the airport is better than being stuck at Haji Ali. Sattva is like, we need a runway to, we need Sattva to sustain Bhakti. But Sattva is not enough. We need to add the element of remembrance of the Lord.
So it's called as Shuddha Sattva.
When we're offering our heart to Krishna, like when I'll tell you this experience I told you about the garden, the assault on my nostrils, right? So that whole experience, so I had went through all this, it was intense experience because there was this couple and then there was this garden, a lot of people, all that. And morning when the darshan opened, seeing this beautiful, resplendent, divine form of the Lord, spontaneously tears came in my eyes. I was like I was in the space of love. I felt a sense of belongingness and shelter, which is ineffable. I cannot describe it in words. I felt safe. Aisa laga, abhi mar gaya to chalega. I reached home. It was as if I reached home. Abhi mar gaya na, abhi best time, mar jao, chalega. I don't want to die, I want to live. But that mood was ki pahunch gaya. Abhi we have reached the destination. Generally, we are always on the go. We always are, kahin to jana hai, kuch to pana hai. Everything is a means for some end. But what about the end? Have you reached the end at some point of time? So that's the stage. Shuddha Sattva is when you are with the Lord. We are one with the Lord. So that's the platform that we want to be in. That's when spiritual practices fructify. We'll end now. Last comment, I think we are, and then we'll have Kirtan. Yes.
Just an observational question. This concept of seeing God, the scripture keeps telling us that people have come face to face with God. Right? So Dhruva sees Vishnu, Parikshit, Prahlad sees Shiva. And here we are being told, see me as the fragrance, see me as the water. This feels like a consolation prize. Is there a separate rule for it? We never see God. How should we think about that?
Beautiful question. not a consolation because we're living in this world and it's not Krishna loves to play hide and seek. He appeared in front of Narada, little boy, he was doing penance, he was so happy, and then Krishna disappeared. And he kept hankering, Krishna, Krishna, and then Krishna disappeared. In the end, he heard a voice. Krishna said, Narada, for the rest of your life, you will never be able to see me, but keep hankering for me. So when you're hankering and when you want Krishna and then you feel hatash, you feel discouraged, and then these things will give you connection with the Lord. Otherwise, you'll get discouraged. See, Krishna is here. Okay, I'll give you something. I don't want to scare you. Krishna is here, okay? And you are when you enter ISKCON, you are at a level of value systems or whatever at this level. And you want Krishna. And you're like, Krishna, Krishna. And it's very difficult. Sometimes it takes years and you still feel, I'm aage badhe hi nahi. And then you may get discouraged because of your inability to catch Krishna. You entered at this spot, at this point of time, but then you may get so discouraged that you may go down. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए ना? So, Krishna gives you some sample. Sometimes in some holy places, some deity form, you get that darshan, you feel happy, but then so many devotees have experiences. Festivals, when they look at the Lord, they feel so loved, and then they don't get that experience. It goes away. Krishna gives you a free sample. And then what do you do for the rest of your life? You need to keep motivating because Krishna loves to play this game of making you hanker for him. When Krishna disappeared from the Rasa Leela, the gopis were dancing with Krishna and Krishna disappeared. And then the gopis were like hankering, where is Krishna? And then Krishna appeared. So the gopis were very cultured women. They wanted to tell Krishna that, Krishna, you are a cheat. But they didn't want to say that. So they said, Krishna, what type of a lover are you? First, are you a lover who gets little love but gives back a lot of love? Are you the second type of lover who gives love as much as he gets, equal? Or are you the third kind of lover who gets a lot of love from his devotees but gives back very little? So they basically wanted to say, Krishna, you are this third category of lover. But they were cultured women. They didn't want to directly accuse Krishna of that. So they said, which of these three multiple choice questions they gave him? Which of these three types of lover are you? And Krishna said, I'm none of the three, I'm the fourth category. What is that fourth category? Krishna said, I'm the one who loves to see you cry for me.
Oh.
When you were hankering for me, I was right behind the tree and I was watching you cry intensely, calling out for me, and I was enjoying it. I was never gone. So when you are hankering for Krishna, Krishna could be behind this pillar. You're saying, Krishna is enjoying it. But you can't see Krishna, but Krishna is seeing you. So therefore, at such times when you go through discouragement and Krishna's not appearing before you, then seeing Krishna in day-to-day dealings, when you appreciate others, when you see goodness in some talent, some singer, like for example, Lata Mangeshkar ka voice, wow. So I see this girl, she sings very well. Maithili Thakur. Kitna acha gaati hai. So that is Krishna, that voice. That is a glimpse of Krishna Shakti. Somebody is gifted, like Virat Kohli, it's some sixer mara usne. And then they asked him, wow, you won this match, it was amazing. How did you play that shot? Immediately said, I don't know. Because I can never do it again. There was a force beyond me that made it happen. So he had that humility to acknowledge that there is a power, there is a force beyond us. So that is recognition of Krishna. And we will study this deeply.
Yeah, we did today. Seeing Krishna everywhere.
Exactly. So the 10th chapter we'll read more of this. Krishna will speak about any excellence you see anywhere, immediately recognize it as Krishna. So somebody sings well, somebody has got, exceptional beauty. Although that beauty is flesh, it's a bag of stool, urine, pus, mucus. It's material. But still, some glimpse we get of what, because Krishna says in the 10th chapter, whatever wonderful and splendorous you see in this world is simply a tiny fragment coming from me. Ekam shena sthito jagat. I'm just from a tiny energy, it's all coming. So we somehow have to connect with Krishna. Yena kena prakarena manha Krishna niveshya. And then also we become human. We start empathizing with others. We become kind to people. When we see God and divinity in this world, otherwise nobody can relate to us. How will you give Krishna's love to others when you can't see divinity in this world? People are suffering. You know? We'll stop here. We'll have some kirtan. So my sincere gratitude to all of you. I'm missing Baldev and Meghna today. And we'll have the 8th chapter next month. And I hope to continue this every month. And even if I'm traveling, I promised Baldev, Meghna and Sagar that we'll do it online and we'll complete the 18 chapters like this. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.